to welcome everyone to the conversation where we talk about everything Cowboys. My favorite team, your favorite team, America's team. Here with your host, Coach Marv.
What's up, Cowboy Nation? How are we doing today, man? How we doing today? What's going on with you? How things going out there? How things is want to chime in for a little second here, man. We're live. Hopefully, if you're in the chat box, tell me if I'm out there in your screens and if we're live, man. Hopefully, I can pick up some people in the chat box and we can see some people come in and get into the screen, man. It's been a long time since I've been on this platform, being live on this platform in a while. So come on in and let's sit down and let's converse for a little while. Let's take a chance to talk about some things that we see out there, man. If you see the title there, we want to know where's this culture bill. We want to talk about this culture bill. Oh, I ain't got my mic here. We want to talk about this culture bill, and we want to find out where we at on this culture bill. We're going to talk about where we at on this culture bill. We're going to talk about. We're also going to try to tap into what I feel about how we are in this culture bill right quick. And then we're gonna tap into something that a lot of y'all Cowboy fans is not gonna like, but I'm gonna give a message to Michael Parsons, and I think some of the Cowboy Nation is gonna probably be a little angry about that, but it's not nothing negative to Michael Parsons. I don't think he's doing anything wrong in this particular point in time with this, but we'll get to that in the second half. As we get people coming in, man, where are we on this culture bill? Man, I'm seeing a lot of good things. Schottenheimer is saying a lot of good things. It's Chippy in practice. He's showing his leadership thing about how he's trying to keep this team controlled and disciplined. He even told guys get on the line today or the other day and gave him some sprints. There's a lot going on, man. Schottenheimer is really trying to get his word across to this team about who's the alpha of this team. Coach gotta show that he's the alpha. Yeah. You don't have to be a yeller and screamer to show you the alpha. And you don't have to be dirty and nasty. But you gotta have sometimes you gotta show yourself to have a little, as I was saying, excuse my vernacular, but I'm gonna say you gotta have a little SOB in you sometimes as coach. They gotta know that sometimes you be on a tip that you tripping, that you really are on one. And they got to know that. And your players know that. They'll understand they'll know when you are serious about something. They'll know your parameters. He's right now setting the parameters in his culture bill about what he's going to accept. These coaches are setting parameters of what they're going to accept and about what they consider that's important. Let me say that again. These coaches are setting the parameters about what they're going to accept and what's important to their philosophy of how they want this team to run. And the players are learning, these new coaches, about what they're going to accept and what they need to work on and what these coaches deem important. It's going to be a totally different thing because the defense and the offense has certain rules and regulations or things that they think is important that this new coaching staff is trying to get across. That happens in every new coaching staff. If you get a brand new coach in anything, there is a new way that coach, every coach has his own pet peeves of stuff that they deem important. They got drills that they can see that they deem important. There are certain things that they deem that's important that you must do to satisfy them. And your players have to learn their coaches, because one coach that they had right here, he might be lax in certain areas. But then this coaching staff is really strong in certain areas. And now if you talk about some things that we just touch on bases about things that I have seen early on that's different from the last coaching staff. Let's talk about the run game. When you had CeeDee Lamb come out and says in his press conference that he's got a block better, you think CeeDee Lamb went home and he was doing his evaluation of himself and he said, "Oh, you know something, I need a block better." No, this is what's been told to him from his coaches, because they deem this coaching staff, this offensive coordinator, and this coaching staff know how important the blocking off the edges and the receivers and tight ends is to our running game. And they pointed that out. This receiver coach probably pointed that out. This new receivers coach. And that deemed to be important. And guess what? That's what they talk about. When you deem something to be important, you really get on top of it. Another thing that's being deemed to be important, the physicality of the practices. This team is learning that there's a little bit more hitting with this coaching staff than it was before. They're deeming that important. First time, and I've seen in a long time, that we had 11 on 11 under the center running the ball, they say, for a whole session. What that tells me, that they deem that this coaching staff said it's important that we have a physical presence to our offense. So guess what? Your players adjust to what your coaches want. I played football. Anybody out there who played football, anybody who played football, everybody talks about their coaches. If you know a player, if you have a son or whatever, they play football, you know somebody. Everybody talks about their coaches. And everybody talks about, man, Coach so-and-so be doing, you can't do so-and-so. With Coach so-and-so, you can't do something. They know, everybody knows their coaches and what they can do and what they can't do. Everybody knows their coaches. And this coaching staff is setting the parameters about what they deem to be important and how they want you to go about your work, what they're going to accept for being a quality job, and what they're going to accept for being BS. And the players are learning that. And that's what this culture build is going through now. And remember, I told you about the 5 stages of a culture. I told you what the five things that you building blocks of a culture, which is physicality, discipline, mental toughness, coaching/leadership, and talent. But I told you that this culture build is always going to go through some stages. And one of the stages is going through right now, we know the stages of being new, the excitement stage. That was the first stage. Well, we're still in the excitement stage of something new. The second one is the adjustment stage. And they're going through the adjustment stage, but they're working through that now because you're almost a weekend of training camp. Now they're going to see another adjustment from the coaches. See, the coaches are in practice, but the coaches, now they got to learn how their coaches are when you start getting new other talent when the Rams come in or they play a preseason game. Because you got to learn how your coaches react in a game. And your coaches got to understand how you react in the game. All that's an adjustment period, people. We could say, oh man, they know how to. No, if you hadn't been with a guy and you hadn't been in the war with a guy, when the bullets are really flying, you don't know what to expect from a guy until you go through it. So this is all the adjustment period. And I want y'all to understand that, man. This is adjustment period. I'm giving y'all information, man, that this is not the normal information that you're getting from a lot of content creators. And this is not no diss to no other content creators. But you're getting what I tell you, the people in this chat, the people on this screen, you're getting information from me that's what we call behind the curtain information. And what I mean by behind the curtain information, this is what they talk about behind. That's not on the media. That the questions don't get asked in the press conference. This is what coaches talk about and situations they talk about that you don't see, but that's very important to the success of your football team. But they're not sexy questions that you're going to get on the media. Yes, there's an adjustment period. They're going. And then when I told you what the next stage is, and the stages can overlap, but you go through the excitement stage, which that may stay for a while. And then you may have the adjustment stage. And then you're going to have the testing stage. So, yeah, we already going through that test. The media is going to test this culture because they're going to ask cultural questions that try to be sly. Your players going to test this culture because young players, some people going to try you. They're going to try the coaches. They're going to try to see if they can get by with certain things. This stuff is probably not being televised or being asked about, but there's players that are going to test the culture to see if you're real about doing this all the time. There's going to be players that are going to test if I get hurt and I don't practice, if I can skip out on some of this stuff, then am I still going to be in my position? Yeah, listen, man, these are young players, man. It happens all the time. And then after that, the other testing part is the perseverance, persistence. You got to be persistent with your culture. Even though things look rough, you got to be persistent. That's the fourth stage. And then the fifth stage is the one we want to start seeing. That's the maturation. That's the stage when we start to see, we stop talking about a culture because it's already existed. But these are the stages that you're going to go through with your culture. So how is this culture built? I think it's going well so far. It's a long way to go. Now, how many out there in the chat remember the press conference when Schottenheimer said that Shotty said that he wants to build calluses. And I said this on a previous live that I was saying, hey, man, I love that word when he said calluses. Now, I'm going to give you something right now about these calluses. I'm going to go over you about what I feel about him saying that and why did he say that. And, hey, man, if you got, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you got a chance, what I'm about to go over right now, everything I'm about to go over, you're going to be, if you share this, you're going to be the hit of the town. If you share it and leave a message and say, hey, man, coach is giving you some nuggets. But he said build calluses. And a lot of people took that he wanted his team to be tough, which is true. But let's think about calluses, people. If any of y'all out there did some hard work, which I did some with my dad, my father was a carpenter, a cement finisher. He did a little bit of brick stuff. I worked with him when I was little. When I, and I had tender hands, getting those bricks. And he wanted me to build some tough hands. So know what he told me to do? Go out there and get these bricks and handle them with my hand. Now my mom was like, I don't want my baby out there getting bruising up his hand. But he said, don't worry about it. They'll be so for a while. But guess what? When he said he want this team to build calluses, he want this team to build a toughness where they don't, the natural hits and bumps don't bother them no more. Now every time they get off or they make a big hit on somebody that they feel like, oh, they bruised up. But when my dad told me to do that with the bricks, guess what? My hands got sore. Matter of fact, I started getting cuts. Almost felt like it was blisters were going on. But as I worked through that, and I worked through the soreness, another layer of skin started to grow after they started to heal. And that layer was tougher than the layer was before. And as they got tougher, my hands started to had a roughness to it like calluses. And Schottenheimer is trying to build a toughness. He wants these guys to play physical, play hard. He wants them to be in a tough camp so they can build that toughness where it doesn't get them hurt every time that they hit somebody. That's when you know when the guys fall down. You can tell a team that ain't built no calluses because they're going to a game and every time they make a big hit or there's a big hit, they're getting up slow. Or every time there's a big pile of somebody going to the sideline limping. They may come back, but they're going to the sideline limping. That's a team that don't have no calluses. And what that means is that's a team that's not structurally tough, got that tough layer on. And that's what he's trying to be. But guess what I said about it? It takes time to build calluses. They don't come after one practice. And you're going to get some bumps and bruises, and there's going to be some people that's going to have some shoulders, some elbows. There's going to be some guys that's going to be really bruised up in your first week. But as you go, you're going to start building the calluses. This may take a while to do, but the overall thing is going to be good for this team. And don't get up in Cowboy Nation. Do not say take your foot off the gas pedal because of injuries. Let me tell you something. You can't avoid injuries in football. I posted some on X the other day. Now I'm finna give you another nugget. Check this out now. Oh, I'm finna get to that. That's when my second. That's coming up by Michael Parsons. This after this, but that's a great lead in. I'm gonna get to Michael Parsons about this practice thing. But I was saying this about coaching. There's a thin line between when you're coaching a team with two words, and one of them is prepare, and the other word is protect. Prepare and protect. There's a thin line between those. If you go too far with one word, if you go too far with the preparing, it could be a problem. If you go too far with protecting, you can protect your players so much that you don't prepare them enough to be ready for the battle when they get into the tense battle. Or you could over-prepare your teams too much that they're not even ready. They don't even meet the challenge because they're not there. But one thing about protecting, you cannot protect. Football is a physical sport. You can't protect too much because a guy could just be doing walkthrough and somebody can fall down, roll up his leg like Tyler Guyton. Tyler Guyton didn't get hit because he didn't get hurt because he was contacting somebody. He got hurt by friendly fire when somebody rolled up his leg. You can't stop all that. Only way you can stop that is you say everybody go light, nobody doing nothing. And I would guarantee you, most of the injuries we got are they were not contact injuries. They were injuries that you probably couldn't avoid anyway. Hamstrings, knees. That's probably somebody falling into them, not because they get hit. So doing too much protecting, you got a very good chance of not having your team prepared 1 through 53 to be ready for the battle. Because if the other team is preparing more than you and you protecting, it's going to show when y'all get in the games, in the big games. So in my coaching career, and I found this out, I'd rather have 70 guys that are prepared to the utmost for me to be ready to play. Because if I prepare my team the right way, you're going to be surprised by backups when my frontline players go down. You're going to be surprised that backups going to hold the fort down until my big boys come back. Because they're going to be prepared the right way. But when I start protecting, I got to protect everybody. So calluses takes a while. And you're going to go through some rough first. To get a callus, you got to break the skin down to the sore part. And then you got to grow back the tough skin. And to grow back the skin, which is going to be a little tougher, the second layer is going to be a little tougher, and that's where you callus. But the calluses don't come without breaking down the first layer. And this week right here, he's breaking down the first layer, and he's showing these guys what it's supposed to be like now to be a Dallas Cowboy. And it's an adjustment period, just like I said. Building calluses, he used the right phrase for that. Because he's used that phrase because that phrase says it's not a one-day process. You got to break it down first. Get the soreness, work through the soreness, and allow that other layer to go in there. And then once calluses are there, it don't leave. It don't leave. And I think he used the right word there. Like I told you, I won't be here with you long. So I think the culture is going good. Let's start back off of that. Let's talk about the run game right quick. Got this point, and then we're gonna go to Michael. Did y'all see Matt Eagle's press conference? And if y'all been following me on my show, and if y'all go to my playlist, y'all gonna see what I was talking about: fixing the defense, about fixing the run game, and I talked about mentality more than I talked about players. And I understand a lot of people out there talking about we need a one tech because that's the canned thing that we all look at to think about. I got guys, people out there watching film and they're watching a highlight. They see Mozzie get picked, get pushed back, and the first thing say Mozzie ain't the one. But they ain't telling you about nobody else on that line or linebackers who's getting blocked as well. But they focused on Mozzie. And I'm here to tell you, I'm not going to argue with anybody. I'm just going to tell you what real football is. You can have the best damn one tech in the damn league. If you don't have 11 guys dedicated to be a dominant run-stopping team for teams to not to live off running the ball on them, and that's got to be 1 through 11 and any other backups that come in the game, they got to have the mentality that you ain't going to run against us. And some guys, if they got that mentality, they might not be big. Listen, they got to have that mentality. But if we're looking for a savior to come in here as a one tech, and he's going to save our run defense, then we're going to be sadly mistaken. And I told you in all my things, I said eventually, I need to get the show. I've been saying this. I said eventually this coaching staff gonna start telling everybody that it takes everybody. And lo and behold, Matt Eaglefoot gets on the thing, and somebody asked him about whether he's gonna stop the run game, and he said team. He said it's gonna take a total team effort to be a quality run defense in this league. And there is not one person that's going to stop it. It's got to be a total team effort. And he's right. I have not heard anybody out there says that we got to be better at safety in the run game. Nobody saying that. And they don't understand how important safeties are in your run game. I heard Mike Eaglefoot say yesterday that if we're not a good tackling team until the cornerbacks learn how to tackle. And that means be part of the run game. Yes. And I'm not saying if we get another veteran one take that would not help. That's a help for me. I'm not saying that Marv is it or we just don't need no one take or whatever. We don't need no more help. I'm not saying that. I think these guys are good enough. If it's collectively we get the mentality to stop the run, we will. I think we got more of a mentality to talk about stopping the pass than we stop and run because we're changing the culture of being physical and not flashy. And Schottenheimer's trying to humble us by doing run game because he wants our offensive line to embarrass our guys. So they can go back in the meeting and talk about how embarrassed y'all are for them running the ball against you. And then once we get that feeling, then when we get that, then you're going to start to see where our team picks up steam. Because it goes back to what I said. If y'all listen to me early, players are going to do what their coaches deem important. I know when I came through high school and when I coached, there was no doubt about the run game. You let a team in, that was back when we ran the ball, people ran the ball, but you let a team run the ball against you, hey, our coaches didn't care. If you let a guy throw the ball down the field and we chip the ball, sometimes they jump up and make a great play. We understand that's a low percentage, but hey, fine. But when a team just run it down your throat, that's demoralizing. There is no call I can make on it. It's no defensive strategy when I'm lining up and they're lining up and they running it down our throat and they get 10 yards a pop. There is no decent strategy for that. Y'all think that we come to the sideline and say, well, coach, call something. There is nothing to call for that. That's when a guy said, hey, we know that they're going to run it and they're going to block you. And they're going to run the ball down your throat. When that happens, there is no, you can say, okay, we're going to throw a lot of people at the line script, throw them in this hole. That's schoolyard, backyard football. There is nothing to say when you get the ball run down your throat on a consistent basis. That's all about manhood. You want to demoralize the team? You could pass the ball and get big plays in the pass game. But say I can get 4 to 5 yards when I get ready, running the ball, you could demoralize the team. And what's happening is you'll demoralize them so much where they'll drop their head and then you get any pass you want. For this team to have a successful run game and to have a successful run defense, it's going to take 11 guys on offense completing their task. Like C.D. Lamb said, he got a block. It's going to take 11 guys completing their task, and it's going to take 11 guys saying that they're going to do their job and a more to stop the run defensively. Y'all can call for one check and watch Mozzie all the way, But when you watching Marzi, I want you to watch the linebackers, the defensive end, the safeties, the corners that's not getting off their blocks. And I want y'all to start pointing out to the defense that they need to get tougher instead of trying to pinpoint one guy and say, hey, he got to go. Because that's giving excuses when you talk about one guy. And in a football team, when you start pointing at one guy, you're giving excuses. Especially in the greatest team sport in the history of team sports. Last point. Like I said, I want to be here with Law. And now this is what the point is going to make y'all a little hot. Somebody put out in the chat talking about what I feel about Michael Parsons not practicing. He's not building calluses. He hadn't even started the process of building calluses. And does Michael Parsons need work? Now, here, this was going to get y'all in a bunch. Damn right he need work. That's not saying he's a bad player, but to get to the next level of Michael Parsons, he got to work. And it's not going to get over there sitting out there in tennis shoes. And guess what? I don't blame him for sitting out there in tennis shoes. Because everybody in his area that came along and that had done what he's done, that got the contract. And he deserved to get his contract. The reason I'm upset with front office is because you're hurting this team because he needs to work. And when I hear Jared them talking about, well, we don't want him to work because we don't want him to get hurt. See? Protecting and preparing. We're going to send him out there protecting him. And when he gets against the best teams, that preparation that he didn't have, going to hurt him. Not going to hurt him physically. He may get hurt physically because he hadn't built calluses. And I understand why he's here. But he's not doing anything because he walk around with tennis shoes because he can say, because he got to say, oh, my back hurt. And this is not Michael Parsons' fault. I'm not blaming Michael Parsons. But I got some advice from Michael Parsons that's probably going to upset the world. I hear people talking about this sit-in, this hole in. Damn that. You have come there for a week. You have seen the meetings. There ain't too much more in the meetings you're going to learn. I'd rather you pack your stuff in Oxnard, get your family that's end up in that house, get all your family, get your stuff, and get your butt back to Dallas. Because I'd rather you be at home, not have to talk about no fake back injuries, and you at least is working out with your trainer. You at least running. You at least doing calisthenics, trying to stay in some semblance of shape. Then instead of you sitting there day after day, sitting there not doing anything because they and go home and make a statement that, hey, I need my contract. And maybe, just maybe, that would trip Jared in because listen, man, this contract is not hard to deal with. I told y'all last time. The last domino to fall was T.J. Watt. And let me explain to you what I meant again, because some of y'all don't understand. I'm not trying to say Michael Parsons not going to get his money. But Michael Parsons had a different story than the big-time pass rushers that got paid this offseason. The guy from the Raiders, then Myles Garrett. T.J. Watt was the last. Don't even tell me about the guy from Cincinnati, because Cincinnati ain't got no money to pay him anyway. They may pay him, but they ain't going to pay him with Michael Parsons' money. Maybe, but they paying too much with receivers and quarterbacks. But I knew Michael Parsons' agent was not going to let him sign until those three people that I named, the guy from the Raiders, Myles Garrett, and T.J. Watt from Pittsburgh signed. His agent was not going to take a contract until those guys signed. I understand that. And I already told you Micah has to be behind those guys, not because he's better and got better stats, because they got better stats. It's because they already on their second or third big contract. Micah's getting his first big contract after his rookie deal. He deserves to go last and set the bar because they have set the bar on they set. Myles Garrett already got a big. This is his second big extension. He already set the bar one time. T.J. Watt already set the bar with $28 million 4 years ago. Was the highest paid defense. The guy Cosby at the Raiders already set the. This is his third contract. These guys have already set the bar. They had first round draft pick money. They already had signed one extension. They're on their second big extension, which you don't get that too often in football. So what they sign fast because they're not looking to set the bar. They understand that they're on their second big contract. They're just trying to get a reasonable, good price, and they don't care about somebody being over them because they understand where they're at their career. But Micah is his first one after his rookie deal. He deserved to go after them and deserved to get a contract to set the bar. So once T.J. Watt signed, the Cowboys could have got serious. If Micah's talking about 50, 45, 50 million, you could have come, if you were seriously talk to him, you could say, hey, nah, we talking about 43 or a million two over them, and that's what it is. And this deal could have been done if you seriously came to him and say, hey, and understood where he was at. That isn't, they're on their second. Micah's on his first. I expect that. So I'm not dissing Micah for not working. But if you're not going to work, I'd rather you be home getting in workouts instead of standing there trying with a fake injury and walking around with tennis shoes on. Because that is not keeping you in shape, and you're not building no calluses. You can't build no calluses anyway when you're not working on football things with football people, with grown men pushing and shoving, which is going to hurt you. But I get mad when Cowboy fans think, oh, he ain't got to do that, and he's going to step out there and be generational. That don't happen. Because soon as you start having a bad game or pull a hamstring, then we talk about, well, you know, Michael, he'll be back. If you watch T.J. Watt, you watch Myles Garrett, you watch the guy from the Raiders, they work harder than anybody else on the field. That's why they are. And this guy, Micah, needs that work. And I'm blaming Jerry and them because this is a cut and dry contract, and you should understand why he waiting. It was not his job to go for this here. Anybody out there thinking that he would have signed 6 months ago, the Cowboys could sign him 6 months, y'all crazy. His agent wasn't going to allow that to happen. And I don't blame him. His agent wasn't going to let him set a bar and then a guy on his third contract going to get more than him. A guy on his third big contract going to get more than him. When they got finished signing, then he sets the bar. He deserves that. They got their chance to set the bar. He deserves to set the bar. But to earn that money, he got to get better to be more dominant. And what he's been doing is okay to me. But it ain't dominant. And I believe he can do it. But he got to work. I need him working on the run game because I need him to be more dominant in the run game. But the only way you're going to get there is build calluses. And we put him in the training camp. When we get back to Dallas, they find a sign. They're hitting him to calm down. Where's he going to build his calluses? Where is he going to get prepared for the season? So we think he's just going to roll his head out there and just be dominant? Because he's Michael Parsons? And I'm not blaming Micah. Sometimes, Jerry, you gotta say, I'm doing this so I can put this young man in a position for him to be successful. And what we trying to play Hollywood games with for what? So yes, Micah, get your stuff, get out of Oxnard, and don't say anything about it. Say I'm leaving because there ain't nobody discussing nothing. And don't talk about it in the media every day, all day. Go so you can start getting your workouts in. You can do your boxing training. All those is going to help you somewhat, and it's not going to help you what you need to do, but I'd rather you doing that than sitting around doing nothing. And I'm not blaming Michael. I'm challenging the young lion to get better because he definitely needs to do that. That when somebody says somebody need to get better, that don't mean they're garbage. But I see there's 4 or 5 more levels that this young man can go to. But you're not gonna get 4 or 5 levels just rolling your head out there and saying, my name is Micah and I run 4.3 and I'm just gonna do it. No. Not only he's gonna get better, he's gonna make his teammates better. What did Tyler Booker say when Tyler Booker got drafted and he was interviewed by Michael Parsons? He talked about getting rid of taking the heart out of the guy. Michael got all upset, not upset, but got hype about it. And then he said, man, this saved me until Sunday. And Tyler Booker, a rookie, said, hey, yeah, man, I'm gonna make sure you get that, man. I'm gonna save you so you can get that Sunday. But at some point, he said, but at some point, we got to get better. That's about building that calluses. We got to get better. And that means we got to go at it to get better. And sitting around on the sideline is not getting better. He said building calluses. Calluses take time. And first you got to scrape that first layer off for the calluses to grow. And when we done went through all this week preparing us to get them calluses, and our best player ain't doing nothing. And I'm going to say this one more time, Jerry Jones, and I hope somebody reposts to the Dallas Cowboys with it. I hope some algorithm sends it to a feed into the Jerry Jones where I know they look at stuff. I want to say, he said, who is this fool named Coach Marv? I want you to think about this, Jerry. Think about your coach in Arkansas that y'all went undefeated. Your head coach that you revered so much. The team that you played on with Jimmy Johnson. Tell me how his players got better, Jerry. Don't tell me times have changed, but tell me, Jerry, how they got better. Did it get better by not working? Playing Hollywood? And this is not Michael's fault. They got better by working. Did you get the Dallas Cowboys by sitting on the sideline? So if you care about this team, Jerry, you understand this guy got to work to get better. And anything that's hindering him from working, don't give me this thing about when he under contract, that ain't stopping him from working. You know the deal. There ain't another guy that's in this draft class that done what they supposed to do. They ain't got their extension. And how did you gonna feel if you allow this to go 2 or 3 weeks? You give him the money anyway, and you done got out of all the work you need him to put in for this team. You tell me about being hurt. You know about football, Jerry. You know you can't avoid injuries. Listen, without work. Did your college coach care about injuries? He cared about y'all winning. And how did that pan out? Play these silly games with somebody else. Because tricks are for kids. If they ain't start talking to you this week, Micah, if they ain't start talking to you by Friday, get your stuff, tell your family to pack up, and y'all get out of Oxnard. And get back to Dallas and go to work, working out. Go back to your regiment. Because sitting down there, you ain't never gaining weight. And somebody got to make a statement. So get your stuff, Michael. If they ain't start talking, y'all ain't got contracts talks by Friday. Get your stuff and get out of Dallas and get back to working out and just stand on the sideline, walking through meetings and sitting there. This here. I understand what players want to do. They want to chill. They don't want to be out there running. They don't want to get on that line. Hey, they can get by, but you can't get by if you want to be great. And this is no saying it's just your fault. But I'd rather you be working out than stand out and playing around and saying you got a back injury for the media. You got 5 or 6 levels that you got to get to, Micah. And you ain't going to get there playing around. And Jerry, how did it work out for your team in Arkansas? Did they work or did they worry about people sitting around and not working? We played for one of the hardest coaches in college football history. And Jimmy Johnson coached just like him. And how did that work out? Now you want to play this Hollywood role by, well, we don't want nobody to get hurt. You know this football. There ain't no pain, there ain't no gain. And I told you it's a thin line between prepare and protect. You could protect too much that you ain't prepared to play the Kansas Cities. You ain't prepared to play the Philadelphia Eagles. You ain't prepared to play the Chargers. The big games. We protected so much that when we got in the playoff game, our players said they were tired. Because they didn't build no calluses. And to build calluses, it takes work. The calluses don't come right off the bat. First the blisters, first the sores, and then the skin grows. So when your coach said build calluses, he said this is a process. And that's why he used that word. So Micah, they ain't talking to you. There ain't no serious conversations. Get your ass out of Oxnard. Get your family and get back to Dallas and go to work, working out on your boxing and you're doing stuff. That's not football workout, but I'd rather see you doing videos working out there than sitting around on the sideline for 2 hours, sitting up there talking. And I understand you supporting your team. You done did enough to support your team by showing up and going through the meetings. And that's what I would say straight up. When they ask you why you leaving, he said, I'm going home to get some work done. Until they seriously ready about the talk. And I will leave it at that. And now answer another question. I'm sorry, folks, for getting hyped and getting all into this, man. But it really pisses me off, man. And the recap that we talked about, calluses, this culture, it's going to take a while. He's building this culture. He's trying to set that he's the alpha. And that don't mean you got to be dominant, but he's the alpha in this thing. This culture is going through its stages. I told you there's 5 stages to a culture. The excitement stage, we are in that excitement stage. The adjustment stage, everybody's adjusting. These players are learning what these coaches deem important. They deem physicality, they deem receiver blocking, they deem practicing hard. They're trying to teach, said it, Sean Allen said it 100 times. We try and teach them how to prepare, how to practice. And he's trying to build calluses where he teaches them that this is how you prepare, and it makes you ready for the game because you're already tough. Now he's going to be tested. There's going to be people who are going to test this culture because they're going to try to, after they start getting bruises, you're going to have guys who are going to sit out because they got a little bruise at one hit. And then he's got to make this statement to his team. He's got to say, if you injured, you ain't got no business practicing. But if your ass hurt, I expect you to be on the field and practice road. And if you ain't on the field and practice road, the next guy will take your spot. And that's not being mean. Hey, that ain't being nasty. That's just telling you how it is. Because this train keeps rolling. And that's how he has to put it. And y'all might think that's being mean. No. Because when you're building a culture, when you're building something, you have to make parameters. And that's what I said this team is making. They're building parameters about what they're going to accept and what they're not going to accept. And I always say, you can play hurt. Everybody got hurts. Can't play injured. And you're going to get tested in this culture build. And that's the third stage. You have to test. And then you got to be persistent. And then the last stage, persistent is the fourth stage. That's the fourth testing stage. That's the fourth stage. And then you're going to see the fifth stage is maturation. We're going to start to see the maturation. We're going to start seeing the calluses being built. We're going to start to see guys get a big hit and don't be on the ground. They're going to jump up because they already know how it feels to have those hits. We ain't going to say as soon as a guy get tackled hard, the first thing he do is he got to put his hand to come out the game. Most times they ain't come out the game because they hurt. They coming up because they jarred because they ain't been hit like that. Or they ain't hit nobody like that. That means a team that don't have calluses. Watch the game. When you see a guy getting a big hit, a big scrum, and you got guys calling to come out of the game or they moving slow, those guys don't have calluses. They don't know how to, they ain't built that tough layer. But when you see guys get big hits and they jump up and they go right to the next play, they got calluses built. And it's going to take a lot to get them hurt. Because they're going to play through the little bruise and the little hurt feeling. Next thing I want to recap on is the run game. I've said that again. I'm going to say it. Y'all said it. I said that these coaches are going to say it, and they finally came out and said it, and I'm going to preach it again. Until this team have a total mentality about stopping running, I think that's been the biggest problem of this run defense is that we didn't have a mentality to stop the run. We have had an excuse because our fan base has built in the excuse with one tech. And that's what they talk about. And you don't think that's feeding into the locker room? Soon as somebody run the ball, guess what? I'm going to tell you why it's feeding in the locker room. Because I'm watching people talk about a Monzi get blown off the ball, and I'm watching the same play. And yes, Monzi get blocked by Tyler Smith. But I'm watching 9 other guys lose the battle on their blocks. And nobody says that about that. They said if Marv would have won his, that would have made the whole difference. No, it would. I told you in this game, you cannot individualize this game. And then it takes me, if y'all didn't believe what coach man, what did your defense coordinator say? It takes a team effort. This ain't no just one. And it takes a team, everybody, if we want to be a quality run defense. And that's the exact same thing for running the ball. That's why I told CeeDee Lamb he need a block. And we're not taking none less for them blocking. And tight ends, receivers, and fullbacks. We're not taking no less for Dak to carry out his fate after he hand the ball off because that drags one other guy. We're not taking nothing for granted. Everything is done for a reason, and it takes 11 or whoever out there to be able to complete the task. And my last recap is to Michael. You got levels you got to get to, and it takes work. But I do not blame you for what you're doing. And I understand the last domino has failed, and his agent say the last domino has failed. And this is what's frustrating to him. His agent will wait for TJ Watt to get signed. And once that happened, I guarantee you, Michael's agent says, we're not signing before they sign. So all this early stuff, that wasn't going to happen. But once TJ Watt, they didn't worry about the guy from Cincinnati. But once Watt got signed, they said, this is what, think about it, people. If y'all just have common sense. When Myles Garrett signed his first extension after his rookie contract, he set the bar. When TJ Watt signed his first extension after his first rookie contract, he set the bar. Same thing for the guy from the Raiders. Micah was going through his first contract after his rookie contract. He deserves to set the bar on his first contract. I don't care if it's $1 million, $2 million more. He was not going to go and these older guys get more than him. That's understandable. Jerry them knew this. But soon as TJ Watt signed, then Jerry them pulled this thing about, oh, we ain't going to talk to you. Because they already know the money numbers out there. Now they're trying to play this game about, we'll pay you when we get one. And we already know what that means. You know where that's coming from. Don't get crazy as Cowboy fans. You don't see what that BS is. We're going to pay you when you get ready. And that was confusing with him because I guarantee the conversation went saying, okay, once they sign it, we're going to set the bar. It might be $1 million, $2 million more, but we're going to set the bar. We deserve for that because this is his first contract. And now you're playing this game with him. If they don't seriously start talking about this weekend, get your stuff, Micah. Get your people, pack them up. I don't care if they got y'all are renting out the place for 2 weeks. Forget that. Pack their stuff up and you get back to Dallas and start going working out instead of sitting around doing nothing down there. And damn this whole in. You done what you're supposed to do. And I don't blame you for not working, but I need you to work somewhere. And you hurting your season by not getting to work. But don't feel bad because you're hurting your season because you deserve to get that and be done with it. Now, if you asking for $50 million, something like that, or wait to break the bar, break the bank, if the Joneses just want to give you a little bit more than that, they have leverage where they can talk to you that and say, hey, we just need to make you the highest APR you want to do. We make you the highest rate, and we're not going there. And if the Joneses say you're going to a number that they can't go to, that's way above that number, well, Joneses, you need to make a decision if you want to keep it. And that's just crazy. But getting to work is the most important part. I've told you, Jerry, you know what work does for a championship guy. It gets him better. And you know you can't get better without work. You came from the mud, Jerry. You understand that. You can't get no better not working. But I'm glad I had a chance to recap, man. What I say, man, like, comment, and subscribe, man. If you like, comment, and subscribe, it's going to help me be able to do some of the things I want to do, man. Um, like I was saying, man, this is back. I'm back here on, and I I got my thing here, man. I got back to my I'm back to my little signs, man. Commitment to the run game, being committed to the run game. I'm seeing that in our own field thing. We're committed. We even practicing the run game even more, and we practice from under center. And if anybody know me, if you've been charting the Cowboys for the last couple of years, when we are under the center, we are our run game is much more dominant than we in the shotgun, and that's a true fact. I want y'all to make sure y'all trust your coaching. Trust our coaching. We have given these chances, this coaching staff a chance. We have to trust them and we have to support them. And then we'll see at the end result of this. Now, some of the stuff might not look pretty because they're trying to break and get another culture. So let's trust our coaching. All right, let's trust our coaching. And we need to have a physical presence, but we need to be balanced. Our offense need to be balanced. That's going to help us, and we need to be balanced defensively. Now I'm opening up a can of worms when I say that. You need to be balanced defense. You cannot be just a pass stopping team or rushing the quarterback team. You got to have that physicality, just like you got to have a physical presence in football and offense. Your defense got to have a physical present mindset, a dog mindset to say nobody's gonna run the ball and we can grind and get it that way. And it's gonna make the passing game. It's gonna make the passing game fall right in our hands when we make people go one dimensional. Somebody put that in the chat earlier about making the teams go one dimensional. They're correct. And all this is this here, man. Explosive plays. We got to limit the explosive plays. I will get more into this when the preseason game starts. We start doing the live watch parties. I'm gonna have my little things that I'm my keys, and explosive plays are gonna be one of the biggest keys. We have to eliminate explosive plays. Explosive plays have hurt our defense for the last couple of years, man. We have to eliminate explosive plays. We have to win the explosive play battle. We got to win the explosive play battle. That means we got to have more explosive plays than them. We got to win the penalty battle, the physical battle, the explosive battle, and the effort battle. I'm gonna give you my 4 battles that we got to win. I did that on the previous show, but I have so that. But we got to win these battles. We can't give up explosive plays, and that's something we have to really. And we need more explosive plays. We got to get more explosive plays. We need more explosive plays, and that's going to be crucial to us. If you want to support this channel, like, commenting, and subscribing is one way you can support this channel. I appreciate that. Please share this with a message so it gets out in the algorithms. I wish you could share this part, man. I need to make a short to that message I said to Jerry. If some of y'all would say, hey, man, let me copy this part, the one I talked about Jerry, telling him about his great college coach, so that can get in the algorithm, because Jerry understands what it takes to be a winner, and he understands this BS of not working is not going to make you better. If you want to get your money out of Michael Parsons, make sure he's the best guy that it is. Don't worry about if you can talk about protecting him not being hurt, but he'll never reach his potential because you're trying to protect him from not getting hurt. You got to get him Bill Calluses, and he will give you this. He'll give you every bit of what your money deserves if he works hard enough. And I believe that he's just got to be motivated and pushed, and he will give you everything. One other word I want to say. But if you want to support chat, this is my Cash App. I'm trying to get monetization, man. I'm very close to 400 subscribers, man. 450 subscribers. I'm about 51, 52 away from being getting to one of my goals of 450 subscribers, man. Please help me and share this content. And if you hadn't subscribed, please subscribe to Coach Marv to try to help me get to that 450 by the end of this week. And then we're going to move on to the next goal to get to 500 so we can get to the monetization. So we can try to make some money off this channel, and not just make money, to put the money back in the channel so I can give you better content and better equipment. But if you have in your heart to say you want to send something to the show, that's my Cash App down there. $PBS 222. And please, anything that you send will be supportive of the show. Another word that I had talked about when I was here, sacrifice. It's going to take some sacrifice. And Jerry, you're not doing the sacrifices you need to do for this team to win. And I understand you talking about you want to win, but you got to hit. Don't get into this point of talking about we trying to save Michael Parsons from not getting hurt, and that's when we're gonna pay him. You got to get the best out of him. He's gonna make his job, his game better, and he's gonna help everybody else make their game better. Got to go to work, man. We got to go to work. Well, I'm at my time. I said I was gonna go no more than an hour with you. I'm a little bit over that hour. Um, uh, yes, I appreciate everybody who's came into this chat, man. That's sent out chats, man. Man, listen here to the content creators out here, the people who follow the content creators. I tell you, man, keep following these guys, keep supporting these guys, keep doing the super chats, keep doing the cash apps to them, keep doing because it takes a lot for them to get out here and to continue to give you great content and to be able to do what they do. And that's so support, man. Always like, comment, subscribe when you go to these people channels, man, because support and please share the information, man. We're trying to get the word out. Again, I'm gonna tell you this in Coach Marv's channel. Let me get this word off there. In Coach Marv's channel, in my channel, you're gonna get what's being taught behind that wall, behind that curtain. Stuff that's not talked about in front of the things because some of the stuff is not talked about in front of the cameras because it's not sexy and nobody really want to ask those questions. But I'm gonna give you the conversation that coaches are really having behind that wall, behind that in that meeting room. It may not be everything, but you're gonna start to see some of the things I said is gonna start coming out. And you're gonna say, well, dog, Coach Marv said that. Well, that's the thinking of a coach. And it's understanding there's a lot to be put in there, and it's the little things that's gonna make us get to this championship. And it's how we go about our business. It's how we go about our business that's gonna make the difference. I'd like to tell you thank you, man. Thank you for all you have done, man. Thank you for being out here in this nation and being out here with this stuff and rocking with me. Until next time, let's go Cowboys. Like I said, those who sweat more in peace bleed less in war. And if you want to get to the 6, we got to work. And y'all know what my acronym for work stands for. The W stands will. Is our will there to keep working? Do we have the will? The O stands for over. Yes, this over. The R stands for rest. And we say, do we have the will over our wanting to rest? And the K stands for kick ass. When you have the will over rest, you kick ass. And that's what we want to do is work. Until next time, peace.